All right, so my top, leaving the fur on there didn't work. I didn't realize, but right in here, an animal or something, it ate through the fur, so I cut the fur off. And so now I'm just going to go with a traditional Euro mount for this little 6-point that I got. I like doing them, so I got a nice one in here in my living room. I'll take you over and show you that one. That's one that I did years and years ago. That's a North Carolina deer. This one's a little 6-point Florida deer. I got a nice 8-point that I'm waiting on my mount to come back from the taxidermist. It's been a year now, and he's getting closer to getting done. Don't want to rush him too much, but I am getting excited about it, and I'll post some videos on that. But as you can see, all this meat on here, I'm trying to pull it off of there, and I'm just boiling it off. Now, this is a regular European mount, and over here, what I have, hold on a sec, I gotta get my fire. I'm boiling the lower jaw. You gotta be real careful with these because they get fragile. They're strong, but they're not. Once you start getting all the cartilage and all that off of them, and you gotta be real careful with them because they'll come apart in the front and the back. You don't want that. So as you can see though, I've already got most of everything off of that as compared to the skull itself. So just bringing it to a rapid boil. Like I said, I already rapid boiled this one, so I'm just waiting for the water to return to rapid boil. So I just leaving that in there to help finish getting some of the rest of the cartilage off. But I'm basically taking a little knife here, nothing big and special, little, it's got a flat and a serrated, and I just keep the front tip sharp, and I get in there and I use the serrated, and I'm just start working all that meat and stuff off of there when it gets softened up by boiling it. And down in here in the eye sockets, got to get all that out. That's probably one of the hardest places, in my opinion, to get. I'm sure there's a trick. If you know a trick, let me know, comment. But this is where it is right now. I had it sitting out for about 2 months outside. I like doing that. It gives it good natural color, lets the animals kind of pick at it, just wash it, spray it off and things, But now it's at a point I'm ready to just go ahead and boil it all out. You can do it a lot faster way. A lot of people just boil them right off the get-go. I found when you do that, it just makes it real white looking. I like it when it has a little bit of the natural look to it, whatever you want to call it. But that's where I'm at. All right, so I got it out of the pot just now, getting ready to commence my scraping. I got this little knife right here that my daughter gave me a long time ago. It's just a regular little knife. Start scraping all this flesh and cartilage and hair and all that off of there. I was going to try to keep the fur up here, but an animal or something had got to it and ripped it, so that wasn't going to work. So I decided to go ahead with just the traditional, and I boiled it over there for about 10 minutes. Start working it off and letting that get back up to rapid boil again, and added some more water in it to submerge it, and we'll get what we can get off, and then I'll put it back in there and work at it again. So just so you can see what I'm doing here, you can see that cartilage coming up. Basically that's what I'm doing, just kind of working it with the knife. After you boil a little bit, it softens up, and I like to get in there in those little cracks in the skull joints and all that. These right here, if you ever hear about scent glands, well, that's where the scent glands come out on these bucks, where they rub their head up in here and they scrape and they rub, and that's how they get that scent on there. So when you hear people referring to a scrape line and a rub line, well, the rub line is where they rub in the tree, that marks their side, but it gets scent on there too and kind of marks their path. And then when they get to those scrapes, they'll rub their horns up in the tree up above it, and then they got pee down in the little scrape on the bottom, and they scrape out that little hole. So that's what they're talking about when you see that. There's tons of glands all over these things. They got them all down the side where they help some smell and so on. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'll get this all cleaned up and get it looking good for you guys. All right, so as you start to clean off all that cartilage and everything around the teeth, just be careful. Those teeth come loose and they'll start falling out. And so what I do is I take a little bit of super glue, and I just dab just a little bit of glue in there just to kind of hold them in place. And then later on, when I get all done, I clear coat this whole thing, and that helps too. But to keep them from falling out on me, I'll just put a little bit of super glue, let it dry, and then that holds them in place.